Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt, here in Tennessee, and I am so glad that you've decided to watch or listen. And we are here to sadly put a wrap on another season for the Tar Heel basketball team. The 2014-2015 season's now been done for a few weeks. And college basketball season has been done for a couple weeks, and it is time to close this chapter and look towards another one next year. So again, thanks for joining, and let's jump right in. So UNC Hoops for the 2014-2015 season, depending on what your expectations were heading into the season, to me, about hit them right on the head. Probably a little bit of more disappointment than exceeding expectations. I just, we'll get into record-wise in a little bit. But if you coming into the season, as far as the media nationwide was concerned, we were ranked number 6, I think, in the most preseason polls. And obviously, we did not live up to number 6 in the nation. Just making the Sweet 16, being a 4 seed, oftentimes being ranked in the teens to 20s. Yeah, we're going to discuss all parts of the season, and I would love to hear: did they meet your expectations? Did they exceed your expectations? Where are they at? For me, I just went back actually and kind of rewatched my preseason preview of what I thought the season would entail, how many games we would win, that kind of stuff. And again, to that way, I guess you'd have to say more disappointment than exceeding expectations. So our actual overall record was 26-12. We were 10-5 at home, 8-4 on the road, and 8-3 on neutral courts. Our conference record was 11-7. Our non-conference then, of course, was 15-5. I went back, I rewatched what I predicted. I predicted overall. I didn't see or didn't hear. I don't know if I didn't say it or what. And I can't find the paper I wrote it down on. How convenient, right? But I predicted for the overall season. I gave myself a range of 38 games and 39 games. We ended up actually playing 38 games. I said that we would either be 31-7 or 32-6. Obviously, again, a little bit of a disappointment if you go by that. 26-12 drops us off. I remember last year I got the number of losses correct. I don't know if I had the total number of games played right last year, but I said we'd lose 10 games last year, and that's exactly how many we lost last year. It's the only reason really I remember that. So we actually dropped a little bit in losing 2 extra games this season. Of course, what really matters is how far you go in the tournaments and how well you're playing in March. We made the championship game of the ACC. We went to the Sweet 16. We got past the first weekend in the NCAA tournament. So in that sense, it was a better season this year than last year. On the other hand, we got swept by Duke this year. I believe we pulled the one out last year and weren't swept at least. So it depends what's most important to you, what you look at, that kind of stuff. But yeah, a little bit of a disappointment. Now, we did play a really good record or seat schedule this year is the word I'm looking for. We played a tough schedule. Just a few statistics. Obviously, you don't know this going in. These teams are going to do this well or anything like that. But out of our 12 losses, 11 of the teams made the tournament. The only team we lost to that didn't make the NCAA tournament was Pittsburgh. And if you remember that game, they shot like 86% from the field, and it was just lights out, crazy. And yeah, nobody was going to beat them that night, pretty much. So yeah, 11 teams that we lost to, or 11 games, I should say. We didn't necessarily lose 11 different people. Obviously, we lost to Duke twice. But out of our 11 losses, or out of our 12 losses, 11 of those came from teams that were in the field at least. Out of the Sweet 16, well, I guess you'd say 15 since we were in it. 8 of those were opponents that we had played. I'm going to say that we probably even lost, and that's even taking out, Virginia lost before the Sweet 16. But the likes of obviously Kentucky, Notre Dame, and Duke, of course. And I don't have a list in front of me, but 8 opponents of ours made the Sweet 16. So, we were playing high quality opponents. We at least played, probably even lost to a lot of the Sweet 16 field, at least half of it. So, that's some of it goes into it. I don't know what else to say about that, really. We didn't live up to expectation. We definitely didn't live up to the preseason ranking that they gave us. And it's going to be even harder as we look forward to the next season, as early rankings have us, second in the country. And that was before Justin Anderson from Virginia decided to leave. So we're going to be ranked definitely in the top 5 going into next season, and possibly top 2, possibly number 1 in the country as we go into the next season. But I want to take a little bit of time, go through our at least regular players, returning regular rotation players, and kind of give what I think they need to improve in on the off season. Then I also obviously talk about guys that are staying or going, of course on our team for sure, and then a little bit around the ACC as it pertains to us, and then just look towards the off season a little bit, and everything UNC hoops related. So first, I guess we'll jump into the NBA draft stuff. We've gotten official announcements from all 5 starters, but 4 of them coming back. And of course, if you've missed it, I don't know what kind of Tar Heel fan you are or where you've been lately, but JP Tokoto announced that he's going to enter his name into the draft. Trying to remember some quotes. He knows he's a 2nd round pick right now, and he's not hiring a agent, so it does leave the door open in that sense that he could come back. But a few other interesting quotes from him are that he feels like he's more of a basketball player than what he's allowed to be at UNC. That pretty much in the sense that Roy's holding him back. He's not pushing him hard enough. I think that was even a direct quote. He's not being pushed. He wants to work with pro coaches and scouts and whatever to be pushed harder, and that he doesn't want to just fit a mold of a defensive player that dunks once in a while, like he has been at his 3 years at UNC. So that being said, if that's how he feels, then he should go. He should leave. I don't want a guy that's going to be jacking up jump shots, especially if his name's JP Tokoto, just because he needs to prove something, or he's trying to improve his draft stock. We don't need guys here just for that. Obviously, sure, it'll help your draft stock, but as Roy always says, you take care of the team, and then those individual stuff starts happening. NBA teams see if you're fitting into a mold and how well you do that. So if he's not going to do it, then see you later. Obviously, I'd love to have the player JP back. And I was going to say, as I was thinking about this even before his announcement of what players' improvements should be over the offseason, his would be obviously to work on his jumper, get better at that. Hearing those quotes, it would be if he does come back, if Roy lets him come back and be on the team, if he decides to withdraw from the draft, then it needs to be to make sure that he fits in, and that there isn't chemistry issues or anything like that. And of course, there's a lot of speculation going around why he announced he's going when he is a 2nd round pick and averaged 8 points a game, 5.5 rebounds a game, over 2 turnovers a game, that kind of stuff. And people are saying, Roy pushed him out because he wants to make room for Brandon Ingram coming in or Jaylen Brown coming in at the small forward position. Other people saying Roy told him he would be coming off the bench for either Joel Berry or one of those freshmen if they were to commit coming in, or that Theo would be eating some of his minutes and he didn't want obviously to be playing less minutes or anything like that. And so, Roy kind of pushed him out the door. People are talking about chemistry issues within the team, that he was just kind of different and whatever. And yeah, obviously PJ saying, or not PJ, sorry. Yeah, we've gone through the whole PJ stuff already. We're not going to go into that again. But people saying JP, obviously thinks he can be doing better than what he is here. But as far as working with those pro scouts, go ahead and go work with those NBDL coaches or those overseas coaches, because he's not going to be really working with a lot of NBA coaches and scouts where he is right now. I wish him the best. Obviously, it helps us as Carolina. I'm not in the program, but fans, and helps the program if he does well and improves and does. If he is in the league, people will say, "Man, if JP goes there and gets in the league, then if I'm really good, I can do a lot better." So we want him to look good and to do well. And we don't need to talk bad about him in any of that sense. But as far as chemistry issue stuff goes, I kind of mentioned it halfway through the season, like, is there chemistry issues? And I've heard stories about JP that he is kind of different than the other guys, different values, different whatever morals, whatever you want to say, but that he's different. But it wasn't being reported during the season. There was no story. I cannot remember, I cannot find one story that talked about, and not even just not naming players. There's no article about, chemistry issues or problems within the UNC locker room throughout the entire season. So if it's not bad enough to write any articles, even without naming names throughout the season, it's not really fair to bring it up afterwards, like, oh, I saw this, or when I was in the locker room, this was happening. You just can't do it, because if you're not going to do it, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, whatever. You can say, oh, there was more than what I noticed, but you can't just say, yeah, there was. I saw it all season long and all this stuff, if you're not going to say anything during the season. So I don't put a lot of credence into the whole chemistry issue or problems with JP in the locker room, anything like that. So, maybe his attitude wasn't the greatest or the best or whatever, but I don't think we can put a whole lot on that as being, why he's not coming back or anything like that. So yeah, that's JP. Everybody else, Bryce has announced he's coming back. Kennedy Meeks said he was coming back. Justin Jackson said he was coming back. All three of those guys, I believe, did it. Well, Bryce, I think he just told a reporter or something. Kennedy and Justin did it through social medias, either Twitter or Instagram, and then Marcus through his actual. Well, I mean, he had the comments in the press conference after the game, after our loss. But you have to take those with a grain of salt with all the emotion that guys have right after a game. But then his father actually confirmed or made a statement or whatever that he would be back. So. Unless somebody off the bench, really surprising, decides, I guess you could transfer, but nobody else is going to the league or anything like that. And I don't imagine or think anybody will do that. So we have everybody back except for JP. It does open the door a little bit to hopefully sign Brandon Ingram or Jaylen Brown, kind of whoever. I don't think we're going to get both. There's like no way we're getting both. But it would be whoever signs first or decides first. I think Brandon Ingram is I don't want to say better option, more likely. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Is more likely than us getting Jaylen Brown. Watching the Hoop Summit, McDonald's All-American games, what you can from those games, I'll definitely take either one of those guys. Brandon looks maybe like a better outside shooter, which of course we know we need. So. That being said, again, I'd take whichever one signs. Roy has looked at a couple of the guys. There's a couple of guys that decommitted from VCU, and Shaka Smart left for Texas. He's been in contact with them. One of them is a shooter, and we were after before he signed with VCU. So it would be nice, especially. And we do have 2 open scholarships. So obviously, if Jaylen Brown and Brandon Ingram signed, that would be best case scenario. But again, not going to happen. If we could get that shooter that I don't even know, Kenny Williams, I believe his name is, if he would come, and then if Brandon Ingram would come, that's kind of best case possibility for as far as I see it. But really, if we get either, well, I don't want to say I'd settle for either one. I'd rather have Brandon Ingram than that Kenny Williams. But if we can get one of those guys, I think it'd definitely help us, because with JP leaving, it does leave us a little bit thin on the wing. If you think about, we got Marcus, Joel Berry, and Nate Britt as point guards. We got obviously Theo Pinson and Justin Jackson for wings. And then we have Isaiah Hicks, Bryce Johnson, Kennedy Meeks, Joel James down low, and then this other freshman that we got. I know his name's, I'm blanking on his last name now. Luke is his first name. I know is ranked as a power forward. I don't think we want to see Isaiah Hicks dropping back to the 3, or this freshman. We've kind of seen how that's played out. We don't want to do that. And the other option would obviously be playing Marcus Moore at the 2, which may even happen anyway. Maybe we're not going to tuck into possible starting lineups yet, but Joel, Marcus, Justin, and then the big guys as far as starting. So will we be okay? Yes. We're going to be very good next year. As long as people stay healthy, people progress, improve the way they should at UNC, we're going to be very good. But again, I'm not getting into predictions now. We got plenty of time for that in the off season, and getting closer to next season in September, October, that time. So we're not going there today. But I've probably gone on long enough about that. We got to bounce back. As far as around the ACC, like I said before, Justin Anderson from Virginia, their best player this year and would have been best returning player, obviously, announced he's going to the NBA. And then they do lose a few key seniors. I think Tony Bennett's at a place where he's always going to be kind of okay now in this league. Never going to get the top guys, but they're always going to play hard. They're going to be, let's say, in the top half of the ACC every year. Going to be a tough place to play, especially at Virginia. But not the same level as they were this year and probably even last year. Then Duke lost everybody. Shouldn't say everybody, because they still have their great white hope in Grayson Allen, but they lost their big 3 freshmen. And obviously Quinn Cook as a senior is gone, and of course that Plumlee is off to the Army or wherever now too. But Okafor, Justin Winslow, thank goodness, and Tyus Jones. I guess you could say thank goodness as well, but for a different reason. All going to the NBA. I believe they've all signed agents and stuff. There's no possibility they're coming back. And that's all the big ones from the ACC. Oh, actually, this morning, Tracy, Lacey from NC State announced he's gone. So not that I was worried about NC State, but makes it easier for us, I guess you'd say. So Duke will still be all right. They got some nice freshmen coming in, not the same level as this year. No way that they should. Hopefully we can sweep them like they swept us this year. We need a year like that, I think, where we can get back into it, especially with all this investigation stuff. We need a year like that for sure, and we should have one coming. But other than that, I just kind of go through players and what I think they need to do in the off season to help us next year and to help themselves as a player as well. Before we do that, just a few kind of stat stuff. Marcus Page led us in scoring. We had 4 guys that actually averaged double figures in scoring, which kind of surprises me a little bit, but it also surprised me on the other end of how low some guys averaged. Especially, and I know it was mostly that they came on late, like the freshmen and even Joel James. But Marcus Page, 14.1 points a game. Bryce was second with 12.9 points a game. Kennedy Meeks, 11.4 points a game. And Justin Jackson averaged 10.7. And then JP, our 5th starter, was at 8.3. Isaiah Hicks was at 6.5. Nate Britt 5.5, Joel Berry 4.2, Theo just under 3, and then Joel James at 2.5 points a game. As far as other stats, let me get there real quick. Field goal percentage, Justin Simmons led us, but you take that away, it's Bryce Johnson and Kennedy Meeks at 56%. I was going to say team stats, and I was looking at this, is a little bit surprising. Free throws, we actually shot 70%, which is not horrible, not bad, especially considering last year. 3-point field goal percentage, we shot 36%, which again is not outstanding, but not horrible. It's definitely acceptable. We averaged 40.5 rebounds. We averaged 17 assists a game. And we averaged more than what we allowed the other team, which of course is good, which should happen when you have a winning record. The only thing is assists, we actually averaged, turnovers. We averaged more turnovers than the other team, which we need to figure that out. And then steals, we were actually below the other team. We averaged 4.2 blocks, which is kind of low for a team, but almost surprising for us. Free throw percentage, as far as individuals go, hopefully I'm not jumping around too much, but I wanted to get through this kind of quickly. Nate actually led us. Nate Britt was at 88% from the free throw line. Marcus Page obviously shoots a lot more, but was at 87%, I guess, if you round up. But Joel Berry was next. So our 3-point guards, is awesome to have them at the top. Marcus was down a little bit this year than what they did. Rebounding wise, Bryce was at 7.8 and Kennedy was at 7.3 per game to lead us. JP was third there. And again, that's kind of what we're going to miss from JP the most, is that he's kind of shows up everywhere. But assists wise, Marcus led us with 4.5 assists per game. JP was right behind him at 4.3. Steals, Marcus Page led us at 1.7 a game, and JP was right behind him at 1.5. Offensive rebounds, Kennedy actually led us at 2.6, Bryce at 2.3, and then JP was right behind him at 1.6. But hey, right behind JP was Isaiah at 1.5 and Justin 1.4. So if they can just up theirs a little bit, it kind of takes care of him as well. Block shots, I guess this is when JP was down. He was 5th on the team. But Kennedy Meeks, actually, that's surprising. Kennedy Meeks led us with 1.2 blocks a game, and Bryce was at 1.1. So really you're getting 1 block per those guys. And then between Justin and Isaiah, you're getting another one. Defensive rebounds, Bryce led us 5.4, Kennedy at 4.8, and then JP at 4 defensive rebounds per game. Minutes, I don't know if that's important, but Marcus did lead us at 33.2 minutes per game. Only guy over 30 minutes. Fouls, Bryce led us, or had the most, 2.9 fouls per game. Seems kind of low even for him. Kennedy Meeks 2.6. Turnovers, JP did lead us 2.2. Marcus was at 1.9. So just a few stats there. And then, individually, now we'll start going through everybody. Of course, we'll start with Marcus. For the offseason, what I think Marcus needs to do, obviously get stronger. But I don't know, he's, first of all, he's got to stay healthy. That was his biggest thing this year. But, and I think even for him, the biggest thing is mentally, that he has to be mentally in it, ready to be the guy. Like, we know he can be, steps up and makes late shots, but a lot of times it seems like he still wants to pass out. I think he's got to have the mentality. End of the game, he's taking the shots. And I think that's the biggest thing for him. If we go down, obviously JP was our 2 towards the end of the season. Justin Jackson, again, of course, he's got to get stronger. Outside shot, I would say, for him. And then also finishing in low. Kind of, we know he's got that mid-range. He's got that floater. It was great. But the inside, outside, and also defensively, he's got to make sure he's strong enough to not get posted up. quick enough that he can still play like that 3 position and guard guys out there. Not that he did a horrible job, but that's where he's got to work on. That's what it is. Obviously, all these guys do these things better than me. It's just we want them to do it even better. And then at 4 spot, Bryce Johnson. Again, continue to get stronger. For him too, I think it's mentally. He can't be so inconsistent. He would have a great game, and then he'd have you wouldn't hear from him the next 2 games or whatever it is. I know he gets hyped up, and I love it. I was an emotional player. I don't mind the emotion. We like to see these guys be themselves, but he's also got to be strong enough mentally that he's not so up and down. Even half to half, there'd be games where he'd have 14, 15 points in the first half, and then we wouldn't hear from him in the second half. Or and some of it was foul trouble, so he's got to, of course, work on that. Defense. We've said that all of his years at Carolina. He's got to get better at playing defense without fouling. But yeah, mentally, I think, again, is his biggest or where his biggest stride needs to be made. Kennedy, I think we all kind of know he's got to still lose some more weight, but he's also got to become more explosive. It doesn't matter how much you weigh if you can explode. I mean, look at Shaq. Dude was a load. He probably, he definitely weighed more than Kennedy, but I was going to say twice as much. He didn't weigh that much, but I mean, he could still get up and throw it down. He still got up and blocked shots. He ran the floor well. Well, I shouldn't say well. He did it all. He could do it. And that's what Kenny's got to do. He's got to explode. He's got to be able to get up and still just dunk on people. I mean, you don't need a post move if you can get up and just dunk on people. So he's got to be able to explode. And again, this is another thing that kind of came up. He's got to stay healthy, not in the sense of injuries, but he got sick. Wait, I mean, there was how many times do we hear that? Oh, he's got the flu, or he's got whatever. And I think he only missed 1 game this year. But how many did he play that he wasn't 100%? And I don't know if it was losing weight, it affected his immune system. I'm no doctor, that's for sure. And I don't play one on TV either. But he's got to be healthy. He's got to, I don't know what he's got to do, but take care of yourself, Kennedy, and don't get sick so much. We need him at 100%. So take care of his body, obviously explode, that kind of stuff. Isaiah Hicks, I think developing a post move, he's actually a pretty darn good defender, I think. But being confident in the mid-range, I think he can hit it. I don't know if he has to improve his mid-range. But just being confident in the mid-range shot. Remember the second Duke game, was it the first or second Duke game? Wide open at the free throw line, didn't even look at the hoop. So just being confident in it. And again, he needs to be confident going up and dunking over people. He was the only one that could really contend JP in athleticism as far as dunking goes. He needs to just get up and dunk on people and be angry. He seems almost too nice. And we talked about this year on the podcast a ton. Toughness. He's just got to be tough and get mad at somebody and dunk on them or, whatever. So that's the biggest thing for Isaiah Hicks. Joel Berry, confidence, which will be coming as a freshman, staying healthy, which is only something you can't really control. He is strong already. I think facilitating, just being comfortable, and again, that's something that should come. But as he works in those pickup games against guys, going against those NBA players, just being comfortable, being in control of the game, leading the team. So I don't know if that means leadership, maturity, whatever it is. Just going along those lines is what he's got to do. Of course, increasing that outside shot. I think he's got a decent shot. Just started slow, kind of like Justin as well. And as far as shooting from the outside, I think both those guys were over 30%. And Justin started off horrible, still got it over 30%. He was shooting so well at the end. And Joel, maybe not being so streaky. We know he can hit it, but he hit a couple and then he kind of wouldn't stop shooting, even when it was hurting us. So consistency from outside. And Nate Britt, again, you can say the same thing for him. He's got to hit from the outside, but Nate, I think, he needs to work on bringing that energy off the bench. I don't think he's going to be a starter. I think Joel's already jumped him in that. I know we've had a little debate here on the podcast on who should be the backup, but I don't even know. Maybe, again, with JP leaving, maybe Joel is in the starting lineup and Nate's the backup, or however you want to say that. But Nate needs to be that. I mean, he needs to come in. He's quick, push the ball, get some layups or dump offs for dunks, and really get up and defend and get in the other point guard's face and just bring that energy. Maybe get a couple steals or whatever it is. But he's got to bring. I think he needs to be our energy guy off the bench and just bring it. And then Theo, again, depending on who starts, if it's Theo starts at the 2, or if Joel starts and moves Marcus over to the 2. If he does come off the bench, I think Theo is an energy guy. If he either way, whether he starts or not, his shot selection has to get better. There was too many YOLO Theos out there this year. Somebody told me, and I don't know if I said it on the podcast or not, but it's like he's playing on the playground every time he gets out there. He like just jacks stuff up, or it's driving. I mean, he needs to become our JP, but hopefully even a better one, that he can make the assist, the smart pass. He can defend the other team's best player. He can, hopefully knock down. I mean, I know he can knock down outside shots, but he needs to be that kind of X factor, that garbage. I don't want to say garbage guy because he's better than that, but he needs to do a little bit of everything, and do it pretty well. And I think that's going to serve him well. He can get a little bit stronger as well. But yeah, we say that just about everybody on Carolina's roster. All right, I think this should be the last one. Joel James. If you listen to the podcast, if you've been listening a while, I kind of wrote him off halfway through the season, and then he came on strong, and I had to eat a little bit of crow. But he's got that kind of turnaround jumper, but he needs to develop a couple of post moves going to the hoop instead of the fade away or turn around. He needs like an up and under. He needs to work on his footwork, and also his hands. He's got to be able to rebound better than what he did for his size. And defense, obviously don't foul. He's got to get better than that. But that's, again, that experience stuff. He hasn't played that long, should come. But for me, it's a couple of post moves, get better footwork and better hands for Joel James. And don't lose the facial expressions for sure, because those are awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much all of our guys. I'm not going to go through possible guys that we can have. Again, hopefully we get Brandon Ingram or Jaylen Brown or both of them, or Kenny Williams, whatever it is. Come sign up to play at UNC. Next year should be a really special one. Should be a good one. Of course, we do have that little bit of investigation stuff and scandal stuff still looming. Hopefully it'll get figured out soon and won't be too detrimental to any season or seasons. Of course, there's talk about taking banners down and stuff. We're not going to talk about it in this podcast. We're going to keep it as positive as we can. But just looking at my notes here, I think I've hit on pretty much anything. If you think there should have been something covered, or I missed something, or you just completely disagree with me, the links to every place to get in contact with me or connect with me will be in the description of this video or this audio, whichever one you're listening or watching. And that just brings me to the point of, subscribe wherever you do take this show in. It can be found in a lot of different places. Please subscribe, leave a review. We are up on iTunes. We are on Stitcher, just about any podcast. If not, let me know and I'll try to get there. But just about any big podcast app or podcast catcher, we are there. We're up on YouTube, SoundCloud, yeah, just about anywhere. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future podcasts. We do now go into the off season, so we're only doing monthly podcasts, and I'm not consistent always because of my schedule on when it is, or the same time every month or same day. So definitely subscribe. If you would like me to just send you audio to it, definitely connect with me. Let me know, and I would be willing to do that. But subscribe where you are so that you don't miss one, and leave a review. It helps the show. It helps other people find the show. And it helps me, and hey, I'll do what I can for you if you do what you can for me. But yeah, also in response to this, I would love for you to, wherever you are, connect, or wherever you do connect with me, let me know, did we meet expectations? Were we way off expectations or where we should have been, you think, let me know what you thought of this season as far as meeting expectations and that kind of stuff. And we'll continue to talk Carolina basketball and college basketball, because I will do it with anyone, anytime, any place. So definitely hit me up. Check out the description and stay tuned for more podcasts. We're also, if you need other ways to support the podcast, they're out there. Just let me know so I can point you to them. But I don't want to ramble on any more about that kind of stuff. You've heard it enough. I want to again thank you for listening or watching the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. We are the podcast for the fans by a fan. And that is all I got for you. Until we meet again, go Heels.